So we're now at round 4 for the US Open, and this was the first game I played where I feel like I played exactly how I wanted to, regardless of if I made mistakes or not. I played the way that I wanted to play. There were some things I did in the opening that I'm not exactly happy with, but I was able to learn from them, so it didn't end up mattering too much. This is also the second 5-Dan I got to play in the tournament so far. The first round was the 5-Dan that I won. It was an easier game. And then I played 2 6-Dans in a row and they both beat me. The second 6-Dan being much more manageable than the first. So now it's down to the next 5-Dan. And this is where I was a little bit worried, but that also made it easier for me to focus in this game. And I'd been playing random games against random people. Maybe there was the break day in between. I don't remember when that was exactly. So in this game, I was white. I had to think about that for a second. I recorded from my opponent's, or from my perspective. So they played in my bottom left corner, just like you're normally supposed to do, right? And they approached high right away. Now, I usually like to do this, especially early on in the game, because when you approach low, this actually gives your opponent the ability to make influence or to make a strong group right away. And even when you back off, while this is perfectly fine, you can see very easily that when white presses black down, white's the one who's getting the influence here. And you might know by now that I like to have influence, at least in the opening. That's why I actually also like to play this high approach in the opening. When it's so early and you get a little bit of influence, a really solid strong group as well, it feels really nice for any fighting and any potential later on. And I always like to look a little bit more towards simplifying the future game. So I like this, even though I wasn't black, I was white, but I like this. But because they played that, I didn't want to approach high on the left side. I didn't want to just play the same thing because we probably would have just played the same thing. So that's why I decided to play low. I wanted to break up the board a little bit to make it just a little bit different. Sometimes that makes it so there's more options for you to choose from later on. And in this case, she just did this diagonal and I backed off. I guess I didn't say who I was playing. This is a Shinyan. I don't remember her last name. I think I wrote it down though. But I believe she did really well in the, or yeah, I think she did well in the Pergo. And I ended up playing her friend in the next round, which is sort of funny because he ended up watching this game. It was the only game where I got a compliment, so that also makes me feel good about this game. I think she was playing a little bit timidly in this game. According to her and her friend, she normally plays a little bit more aggressively, which we'll see here in just a little bit. Yeah, but now you can see that the board is broken up a little bit. And there's sort of 2 basic options now. It's this upper right corner or the lower left corner. It doesn't really matter. I think black has more potential to build, so I would want to play towards the upper right first because white can't really build anything. So I actually do not agree with taking the 3-3 here that she did. I would have much rather just approached on either side, just the simple approach. Because no matter what happens, black is going to be able to build something, right? And taking the 3-3, we are now breaking up the game even more. Black can't really build anything anymore because now I have this influence towards the center. And this is exactly what I personally wanted in this game. Whereas if she just approached and I had to back off or something, and let's just say she backs off a little bit here, you see there's this potential here. This group is still solid the same way as it was in the game. And there's still potential to go into the corner. This is why I personally like to approach a little bit more. But the meta, I guess, is taking the 3-3. In this case, though, I did block facing the top side. But I think either block is probably fine. But the reason why I blocked facing the top side is because it's a little bit wider. And I like to play a move following up in the upper left corner. So I said, this is a lot of this is going to be just me saying I like this rather than it actually being necessarily the best move. But in this case, I believe AI did agree. If you block this way, you'll see quite easily that the furthest you can go is here. But depending on the upper left corner, this might be fine because this could threaten black a little bit and this side wouldn't have much. But in this case, it's so much wider on the top that I want to play the top side. And I do make a little bit of a mistake here. where I play a little bit too far. This is something I've seen people do, but I don't actually know the variations and I know how it works. If she just invades right now or does anything in this side, it becomes a really complicated and annoying position. And for some reason, I was wanting to do it. But she gave me an opportunity, and I think this is what helped me get into the mindset that I wanted to be in. Because what she decided to do was kick and save the corner. I think this one is a little bit more common, but that's the same basic idea: kick and save the corner. And this allowed me to just make the solid move. Because after I played this move, I started to worry quite a lot in the game. But then she kicks, goes into the corner, and I get to back off. Of course, she's also playing someone she's never met before. She doesn't know how I'm going to play. Maybe I was trying to entice her into playing in a big fight and try to win because I've studied this, right? That is totally possible. Maybe this is the right choice for Black to do. I feel like I got let off the hook a little bit here because I'm not the one who's really good at fighting. I believe she's actually a better fighter than I am, but she wasn't able to showcase it in this game. And I think this is sort of the start of that. Because right here, I now have the super solid position on the top, super solid corner, and a very solid left side. I probably won't have to really worry about it, though she should be pressuring it. Let's just say I jump. She gets a really nice position at the very minimum from this. I'm a little bit slow, but I'm very solid. And this is what I mean by I think I messed up a little bit in the opening. Because if I just play a normal extension instead, I think it was this far that you're allowed to do. This is fine because I'm protecting my stones a little bit better. And then I can still follow up in the other corner really close like this if I want to. So I still get everything I want, but I should be a little bit more safe for that group. I could even go a little bit closer, I think, if I wanted to, but just something right here. This gave her an opportunity, but she gave the position back to me. And I can understand why. It still feels fairly slow for white, like I mentioned. And so she's able to follow up first. But if you actually take a quick look at the points, even if she gets something in the bottom left, you'll notice like this is like a 10 points, another 10 points, and then this is a little bit questionable, but it's likely to be something as well. We can say another 10 points, like 30 points potentially, and then maybe another 10 points on the bottom left, right? So like 40 points. But if you look at what white has, it's a similar idea, right? There's about 10 points here, maybe a little bit more. There's at least 5 points or 2 points is what I like to count this sort of group that's not sort of, alive yet. So it's 2 points. So we can say 15 with bottom right and this left side. And then this top side here, at least another 15 points, right? So about 30 points. So the game's actually not that far off, especially with Comey being, what, 7.5 points here. However, she ended up playing this move, and this is where I make my next sort of mistake. I'm still playing how I like to play, but if I took a step back now, I would have played differently. Because what happened here is I got a little bit ahead of myself. I ended up playing this approach here on the bottom. And this is still a perfectly acceptable move, but what was Black supposed to do? Black was supposed to apply some pressure to the upper left group, especially considering she played b16, which is getting rid of the base on my group. So because she has that, she needs to apply pressure. I need to protect in some way, and then she can come back and defend on either side. But she ends up not doing that. She just plays the corner enclosure directly, which is, as again, I said, not necessarily a bad move, but this means that I can go and play how I want to play. The bottom side is not that important, not that interesting. What's most interesting is the fact that my weak group can be attacked. And so I just need to play this nice, simple 2-space jump here. It seems slow. It does. But this simplifies the game extremely, and this is very much my style of play and how I prefer to play. And if I'd taken a step back and thought about it a little bit more, then I probably would have played this move. I still spent enough time in the game, but I hadn't gotten into what I would call the groove, right? I hadn't gotten into how I enjoyed playing yet, but this game set me on the right track for the next games I played. She ends up kicking here, which makes sense, and then pincering. I play another really bad move. No, I mean, this isn't a really bad move. Well, not another really bad move. This is my first, I would say, actually bad move. And that is this move here. This is not important. The left side is more of a priority, and the bottom side is not really any points, so it's not like I can really worry about that. I was just thinking, oh, she pincered. The move you always play to a pincer is the counter pincer, threatening to connect up underneath, and threatening to save your stones, basically. That's not really that important right now. Even if black tanukis and let's say black just fixes on the left side, this is still an annoying stone that's in this position here. It's still difficult for me to handle. Just one move is not really enough. If I have to play this is actually really sad. Black could just come over the top, have a lot of influence towards the center. Or black can go and press this side down a little bit. Something, right? You have to change the order of moves, but something, right? They can use this move a little bit. They don't have to use it all the way. Yeah, that was definitely, I would say this is definitely probably the worst move. If I wanted to play to protect my stones, just jump out. But probably even now, the 2 space on the left side. She attached on top, did the tiger's mouth. I got to Atari. And while AI wants me to play down, I play the connection in the center. I'm extremely happy to get this move, because now I feel safe in the game. I don't feel like I can really be attacked, and I don't feel like I can really be hurt too easily anywhere. And this is why I prefer to have influence. If I decide to try to invade on the right side, if he turns this into pure influence and I get the territory, I already have this in the way. There's nothing he can do about it. I'm very happy with this, but the AI said this is no good. I need to fight instead. And I guess that's fine, but I don't like it. I like this one, and so I'm going to play this one unless I can see that there's a direct benefit for the other one. She captures the stone, so I have to sacrifice 1 extra stone, very important, before I save my group on the left side. And this is where she makes her big mistake. I think she makes an exchange first, but I have sort of exactly what I want now. The point balance hasn't really changed too much. My group on the left can't really be attacked. I'm likely to get something in this bottom left corner or points on the left side. I feel like overall the game is still fairly balanced, and I'm not necessarily super winning, but I'm not losing at all. So she makes this exchange first, and I block because it's kind of an awkward shape, and so I felt like I should block. And she's not 100% alive. This Hane here on the second line ensures that this group is not 2 eyes. So I want to keep it a little bit weak. And now she should be jumping towards the center, but she does not. And this is what turns the game completely around, because she plays the standard move here, which is to protect the corner and to apply pressure to my weak group. However, the center was very important now. I emphasized it quite a lot with the other moves I played already. And so me getting this move right away, I played this, if I remember, I think I tried not to play moves instantly, but this was basically an instant move in this game. Even if my stones aren't completely connected, this is still great for me. The game is completely turned around now. It was in black's favor, I believe, by a little bit. And now I think AI thinks it's like 50-50 or whatever, but now it's a lot more in white's favor. You see that my position on top works well with this influence on the bottom. And black can't really build too many more points. And black still has a little bit of Aji here on the bottom and is not entirely alive. So surrounding this group is pretty useful. This is a very basic idea, really. She just wants to play this move to not be surrounded and to not give me influence. But this allows me to do something in the corner if I wish, and I get to protect my left side group, so it's not bad for me. But this is the correct way to play, the proper move, you could say. And it's a way to maintain her slight lead, but allowing me to get this move instead. As I said, completely changes everything. And she plays another move here that she misread, and I sat and thought about this for a long time. She plays this one right away. I had to double check, but yeah. If you think about this move, this seems like a really annoying move. But there is something that black actually has to worry about that she was not worrying about. And I actually read this out really well. Black is supposed to play differently, but no matter what, it should be an okay result for white, if I remember correctly. You guys can double check that if you want to. But the idea here is that I have these 2 stones right here. And these stones have a couple liberties. And this group of 4, this nice little Tetris shape, can lose some liberties. That's the basic idea. So I thought about it, and I was very proud of playing this move, and it was the cut. You don't always just want to protect. And you don't always want to just try to defend in whatever way is Sente if you can possibly manage, right? Sometimes it's important to fight back. And this is something that I had to work on for a very long time. I needed to work on learning how to fight back. And this is a moment where I was proud in that I found the right way to do it, or a way to do it. I think AI still likes something else, whatever, right? I found the way that worked for me. I believe she's supposed to just sort of give this stone up, if I'm remembering it correctly. But instead she cuts and Atari's me down. But you can already sort of see the problem here. If I turn here, this group runs out of liberties very quickly. But she can push again. Because if I turn now, I can't do it. Because I lose liberties first. But there is something I can do here. If I turn here and she blocks this way, I do have this Atari, which would allow me to capture these stones, which would have been really great. However, she doesn't have to block there. She can capture the stones directly. And now I have to capture this corner, or these bottom stones, which would be really big. This would be really big as like an end game, but then my 2 stones over on the left side are damaged. So this is not a possibility here. So I have to extend one more time in order for that to work. Yeah, but after this, I'm able to capture the stones. I believe she said that she misread this part. She didn't quite realize what was going on. Because I believe she was thinking that she could block here, and if I turned, she could play this one. And then there was something wrong here, but it didn't quite work that way. At any rate, I can always just Atari from the other side. So she has to come back and defend instead. Now that she's defended, this is actually the real move that I'm actually proud of when it comes to reading in this area. You should actually think about the next move very carefully, because it's not as easy as you might expect. Yeah, you should pause and think about it if you want to. But the first move that most people would think about here is just connecting underneath. But actually, this isn't really that good. This looks like it's good, but it actually is not. I was kind of surprised. When I read that, I was like, oh no, I made a mistake. Because they can just turn over the top. You can't turn here. This is just captured. So you have to play something like this. And of course, if black blocks here, there's this Atari and turn, and there you go. You figured it out, right? But black doesn't need to block there. I believe black can just back off. And now white's not alive. Which is a little bit sad. Yeah, so if white hanes, you can just Atari and capture the stone. White might be able. Pushing cut if I hane. I probably have to back off again. And it just depends on if white's alive here, right? And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. White needs one more move, but this group has too many liberties to get like an extra special move here. And it's a little bit difficult to live. So it's a tricky situation. There's more to read there, but I want to show you like the very basic idea. Black can back off, make this really beautiful empty triangle. And just keep backing off and potentially just kill white because this group has enough liberties. When I realized that, I thought, oh no, I have nothing I can do. But there's actually an amazing move I can play here. And I was very happy about finding it. It's really actually quite simple. But this took a lot of reading, and so as I said, I'm very happy that I read it all out properly and figured it out, because I have to play this block here. And when I checked with AI, this was also the move that AI suggested. I don't know if it was the only move, but it was the move that AI suggested as well. Because black cannot honey underneath, you can cut. Now these stones are dead, or you can capture this stone. This extra move up here changes everything. So black has to drop down, and then you can drop down. You're sacrificing 3 more stones, and there's nothing that black can actually do about it, because black can't actually escape with this group. If black could escape here, this would be quite bad. Yeah, if I remember correctly, this is a ko. I believe I can wedge here, Atari, and do this Atari. Of course, black can't connect because the black is dead. If black Ataris, this capture, there's nothing big enough on the board at all. Black can't even extend for liberty, because when I capture here, when he turns, or when she turns, the group is still captured. If this group is captured, then this group is also not alive yet. Black actually owes a move to make sure that they are not dead. And this would be a disaster, right? And there's nothing big enough to compensate for that type of disaster, especially since this group is not alive yet. So if I capture this very large group of stones and I capture the bottom side of the board, that's just way too good. So it's just not possible to cut through. And of course, anything else, there's just not that many liberties. You get rid of too many liberties, and black ends up being the one dying instead. So she plays the one move to try to get a little bit more weakness on the outside. I can cover over the top because she needs to go back and kill. I protect the weakest side. She captures the stones. And now you can actually see that I sacrificed 3 more stones. It seems like I sacrificed a lot on the bottom, right? If you look at it, there's these 3 stones, there's these 2 stones. And this amount of points is actually not too bad. It's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 points on the bottom side of the board, which wasn't really potential for anybody. But it's not actually that great, because there's quite a few things that she lost as well. First of all, I'm able to jump into the corner, and you can see that the corner is barely any points now. And she already spent another move to defend the corner here. Instead of doing that right away, though, I play the more important move of defending my left side group and connecting all my influence. Because I'm able to just really connect everything together with one move. I think I can do it on either side, honestly. Maybe I can even do this one, but it's something like this. Just connect everything together. Now I have this really, really nice influence that could potentially make at least a couple points. And I don't need to make a huge amount. I just need to make a couple points. She realizes she can't go through there. And what she probably should have played was something over here, or something down here, or even just another random move somewhere else on the board. But she ends up playing this one. I think I probably would have followed up there eventually, but this gives me the opportunity to bully her corner a little bit. So I jump here, I push, and I play this really nice vital point. This is threatening to peep here. And it's difficult for her to manage this because there's not that many liberties, and there's not any eye shape. Because normally if you can cut here, or you can do some sort of hane or something, like there's usually something that can be done here. Sometimes it's just capturing these stones instead, but none of that is possible here. So she actually has another move. I believe she's able to play like this one, but she ended up just doing this, which gains me a lot, quite a lot. This corner was a decent amount of points, and now it's barely any points. And I also got one more move to solidify like 9 more points on my side. So it was a significant difference here. But this is where I was having a little bit of a hard time deciding what to do next. So yeah, it's still a little difficult for me to decide even now. But I decided to think about it and see how she played before deciding on my move. Because if I jump here, I can build a decent amount in the center. This is the easiest way for black to get in. But if this side's completely open, there is still like cutting point Aji here. So black is able to try to get some sort of move on this side, which could potentially build their position. So I wanted to do this sort of probing move here. I don't think it was really good, but I think it was okay. If she decides to jump out and fight, then this should be okay to do. I'm going to be able to use my influence to fight and get rid of her points on this side. But if she just connects underneath like she did in the game, I can get a couple forcing moves to maybe make it a little bit more difficult to fight in the bottom or in this middle bottom area. And then now I go back to play the really big move on the left side. I believe at this point, AI does think I'm very far ahead, but if I remember correctly and you count the board, it's actually not so obvious yet. There's still so much empty space, and if she plays properly, it's likely to be difficult. She ends up jumping here, and I play a move that I like, but everyone agreed that I should just jump here instead. If I jump here, I'm just making this really large moyo. Even if she can push and turn and make these points, I make the top points and I make this really large area in the center. The only reason why I didn't really want to do that is because there's still this area that I have to worry about, right? So black could peep and jump. And if I have to run this group out and save it, I don't make any of these points, right? I can potentially still just win because of it. But I didn't want to have to worry about that. So instead, I wanted to prioritize solid points, like a really big end game idea, which is this slide here. I think this is still a really good move because the middle just is harder to decide. But this also gets rid of a lot of points and some eye space for this black group as well. So I like it. She pushes and jumps, so I still get to make that center potential there, but I still have potential everywhere else on the board. And I did make some more points here on the top. The next move I do regret, while at the same time I don't. I like it because it's very my style. But this is where I could improve upon what I like to play. So what I played in the game was this Tiger's Mouth. It's an extremely solid move. But then she played a move that pointed out to me that it was actually not the right idea. And she invaded here. And this is actually kind of annoying to deal with. It took me a long time to think about the right move here. But what I should have played to keep the game very simple, I already allowed her to come in and ruin the center potential. I'm probably still able to make at least a couple points in the center, but I gained points here. And she had to run towards the center where she's not going to get any points. So I need to play big end game that solidify my position. The best move right now, in my opinion, is, I guess I could turn here first, but this sort of idea. Need to play this end game. And I could do the Tiger's Mouth if I want to be a little bit more safe. Because now, this obviously is not as big of a deal. I can always connect underneath. So I can be a little bit more aggressive towards this stone. And I don't have to worry about it as much. I could also just connect and try to fight it, depending on what I want to do. But then I also get to reduce black by a lot of points. A very significant amount of points. And I just need to do that a couple times to be solidly ahead. But because I play this one, this does give black the opportunity to come into here. And this was actually the move that I was complimented on by her friend. And Brandon was there. He'll tell you that I talk about it all the time now. But it made me very happy to get a compliment about the way I played. Because he was having a hard time deciding what I would do here. And so he thought the game was a little bit more difficult for white now. But I actually had a really, really simple move that I played. And I had to think about it for a long time to make sure that it was the right move. When I thought about the moves I played already, this sort of ended up working to my favor. I played this slide, right? This means that this group is pretty close to alive. So I actually don't have to worry about it too much. So I was able to change my thinking in this position to being, oh, let me just defend my weak group. What's the best way to defend that group? I have to run out. AI suggested this move, and this makes sense. This works. What I ended up playing was also good. It was this knight's move here. It's a really weird shape. You don't really see it very often, but it's a way for me to escape in this situation. Because it's hard to cut from this side, right? This is a difficult cut. Doesn't really work too easily. And can't really cut from this side. So it just barely works to protect any potential cutting points. And it's threatening to surround the black stone. So when black jumps out here and attaches, and with a hane, black is a little bit weaker than me, so I'm able to do this without having to worry about the cut. She extends, and then I protect my cutting point and protect my group. It's still difficult to cut in the same exact way for the same exact reason. She just protects herself in the center. We found out later on that she could do a little bit better, maybe do something like this one. It's hard for me to cut her, so this makes sense. This sort of reduces me a little bit more. This one also, just simple, right? But she ended up playing this one, which forced me. But no, I was very happy to do this. AI did not like it, but I was very happy to just peep right away. I mean, look at my potential. I have all this strength everywhere, and now I'm closing off the top side of my moyo, of my center. In Sente. She really did not like responding to this move, but she pushes and turns. I make a small mistake here. I do the knight's move. Apparently I could have gone all the way to here, but from what I was reading, it didn't seem like it worked very well. But it actually does work to connect everything up. You can read that out if you want to. But I just played this one. This one gives me an opportunity to connect up to my other group. When I could just connect solidly, this was a lot better. But this one's still perfectly acceptable. It's just that she is able to do something like this later to cut me off, but I can just make sure to stay connected. And then she just jumps towards the center. No, not that one. I just block it off, nice and simple. I didn't really play any complicated moves. I just played very simple in protecting my weak group, moving towards the center, and now I've gotten some center points. I think I didn't mention what the compliment was yet. The compliment was that I'm really good at simplifying the game. He liked a lot of the moves that I played. Like on the bottom here, I was able to surround, sacrifice stones, and get a really nice position on the outside. Again, here, I was able to play a simple move and get a really nice position where I gained some extra points in the center in exchange for the points that she took away on the top, which means that I was still just ahead in the game. And so that made me really happy to hear, because that's my goal. So as you can see, by the time the game is coming to an end, I'm finding the moves that I like to play. And I said this set me up for my next few games. Even though I still made mistakes, and these are easy mistakes to fix, in my next few games, I still feel like I did. I was playing more to my liking. She ends up doing this peep and trying to reduce. This is a very large area. She could jump way further than that, but she was being a little bit timid. She was worried a little bit about these cutting points, but it's not something she really had to worry about. She figured I would just respond here, and then she could come up to the top left. This is really big in the center. The top left has a lot more implication with life and death and reading, because my stones are not perfectly connected here. And this is just points in the center. So I tanuki, and I play the wrong move, but she ends up responding. What I should be playing here is this block, and then the game is officially over. But in the game, I was a little bit too focused on this cutting point, but I don't really need to worry. It just was really annoying in the corner, and I didn't want to have to think about it. So I thought, you know what, I'll do this one. This should be big enough, is what I thought. I shouldn't have that thought process. I should just make sure I read things, right? If she cuts, I do this one, and she cuts. Okay. Right? I can just do this now, right? It doesn't really, the cut isn't really like Sente or anything. For points, you know what I mean? Like I can just play this right away, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't know why I was worried, but I was. Probably because I was winning and I didn't want to make any silly mistake, right? So I played this. The game is actually not very close. If she jumps here, there's a lot of potential for weakness on this side. Even just this turn is annoying, because the clamps and stuff, it's very, very annoying. We ended up playing this end game out when it wasn't necessary, and she just responded, and then I ended up getting the top left move. Now, I do make a reading error way later in the game. I don't have it recorded because this is the end that we both officially recognize this as there's no more chances left. Even if she's able to reduce a lot of these points in the center, it didn't really matter. But I do make a mistake in the end with all my cutting points here on the bottom and end up losing these 3 stones. It was a really obvious mistake too that I could have prevented. But I lost 3 stones and a couple, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like so it was like a 15-point swing, but I still ended up winning the game by about Comey. So I was happy about that. I was really worried I lost the game when I ended up losing those stones later, because it was just a stupid reading mistake, right? I said this was the game that made me the most happy, because by the end of the game, I was happy with the moves I played. There were still some mistakes that I needed to fix, and even in my next games, there were still mistakes I needed to fix. But this puts me at 2 wins and 2 losses for the tournament. And I was very, very happy about that. I did not want to go 1 win, and then the guy I beat lost all of his games except for 1. So he was 1 win as well. And I would have been very upset if I was 1 win and 5 losses. Yes, that would not have been very, very happy, right? 2 wins, 2 losses. I was already pretty happy. I wanted 1 more win for the tournament, and I had 2 more games to play. And I was like, okay, this is possible now. I was happy about this game. It's now possible. The change in mindset really helped. I do make a big mistake in the next game when I play her friend, but I was still happy overall with the game. It was just a reading mistake. It was not a strategy mistake. It was not some other sort of mistake. It was just a reading error. And actually, I probably should have just won because he made a reading mistake first. But oh well. We'll save that for the next video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun talking about it. I hope you're having a good day. And I want to thank everybody for supporting my videos, be it on Patreon or through YouTube membership. Thank you very much. Have fun.